Witnesses, 85 prosecution witnesses, 65-day-long prosecution case, and we saw there's Michael Jackson and his family as he's leaving the courtroom with almost a shocked look on his face, Michelle.
Can you imagine the sense of relief that he is feeling right now after sitting on pins and needles for 7 very long days for Michael Jackson as that jury deliberated? He had been hospitalized a couple of times. At night, had gone to the hospital for back problems. He's had a lot of health problems throughout this trial. Most notably the day he arrived in pajamas. So he's got to be feeling a heck of a lot better now, knowing that he is a free man. He is now leaving the courtroom and going outside. We will wait to see if he's going to approach a podium of some sort. I don't know if there's an area set up where they're going to be giving press conferences or if the media is just going to try to talk to him while he walks. But there he is now, leaving the courtroom, waving to the fans.
And you can hear the screaming going on right now. Quite clearly, he's going to get back into his motorcade. Apparently, no statement yet from Jackson, at least not from the courthouse. Perhaps that will come later on. Perhaps Tom Mesereau will speak on his behalf in the meantime. But Jackson, not even smiling, but almost a shocked look on his face as he leaves the courtroom. Absolutely, without a doubt, relieved with the way this thing has happened, and it couldn't have gone better for him.
So they're now getting back into those vehicles. They arrived in just before 2 o'clock this afternoon. They arrived about 10 minutes until 2, and the jury was seated about 2:05. The verdict came down about 2:15, and now it's 2:30, and they're on their way out. So this all happened quite quickly, didn't it, Jody?
Yeah, this had to be for Michael Jackson like a near-death experience. If reports are true, if he's dropped 20, even 30 pounds, he went in at 5'10", 120 pounds. He's at 5'10", 100 or 90 pounds. A 18-year conviction for Michael Jackson would have been nearly functionally equivalent to a capital sentence if he was losing that much weight and the health effects were that grave. I think it's hard for us to appreciate sometimes here in LA how much international attention has been focused on this case. I've been contacted by media outlets in Germany and Australia and Japan. The world's really attention has been focused on this case, and to an extraordinary degree. You've had German stations, for example, coming out to do pieces in Las Vegas about Michael Jackson impersonators and how the business for Michael Jackson impersonators fell off after these charges came out. They've been into it in that much detail, folks in Germany and in various other countries far abroad.
So we see Tom Seton going back into the courtroom right now. Does he have more business to take care of today, or is his day done?
Yeah, he has a few loose ends to tie up. Most of his work is done for the day. There's some papers to sign, some housekeeping work to do at this point, but it couldn't be more complete vindication at this point.
And what a trial it has been. We saw Jay Leno, Chris Tucker, Macaulay Culkin, George Lopez all testify in this very high-profile case. So many celebrities, so many witnesses on both sides, and yet again we see not to beat the fact, but another high-profile celebrity. You and I were sitting here on this desk a few weeks ago, and we watched Robert Blake go not guilty as well. And is there something to this that these celebrities get off on these cases?
Well, and in this case, we saw the prosecution given every possible benefit of the doubt, every possible benefit in the litigation decisions made by the judge. He was given the 1108 past conduct kinds of allegations got to all come in. The videotape at the end, which he didn't have to show. The judge made very favorable decisions for the prosecution, and yet they still weren't able to convince this jury beyond a reasonable doubt of Mr. Jackson's guilt. With celebrities, certainly the fact that they have a lot of fame weighs in their favor. It makes the jury more likely to give them the benefit of the doubt, the presumption of innocence, because the studies show that when many jurors see a defendant at a defense table, their immediate response is, he must have done something wrong, she must have done something wrong, or why would they have been arrested? They're not supposed to do that, but it's human nature to go that way. You tend to do that less with a celebrity, to actually give them more of that presumption of innocence and benefit of the doubt. But then probably the biggest factor is celebrities, unlike a lot of ordinary folk, have very deep pockets. They have almost limitless resources, as Michael Jackson had in this case, for defense. They can actually match the state dollar for dollar in defense in defense monies, and that can make a big difference in the outcome of the case. A lot of ordinary defendants have to depend on, for example, a public defender. Public defenders are outstanding lawyers. Many of them are terrific at what they do, but they're overtaxed, they're overextended, they have a lot of clients, and they really have a lot of work to do. Here, a celebrity with a deep enough pocket can get one attorney who's at the top of his game to focus all his attention on just giving him the best defense possible.
Or in this case, we saw him start with Mark Garagos, one very high-profile attorney, and go to Thomas Mesereau, another high-profile attorney.
Okay, right now we're going to Leslie Miller. She was inside the courtroom when the verdicts came down, and she joins us now live. Leslie, describe for us what that was like inside the courtroom.
Michelle, I'm having a hard time hearing you, but I think you asked me to describe what happened inside the courtroom. I'll tell you, reporters sitting on the edge of their seats on pins and needles awaiting this verdict, as everyone else in the world. But the jurors walked in, and I watched every single one of them walk into the courtroom. Not one looked at Michael Jackson. They walked in, they sat down. You could tell that it's been a very emotional time. Usually this has been a very happy, chatty jury. They walked in, they sat down, they took their seats, not looking at Michael Jackson. Again, an across-the-board acquittal. I sat there, and as the verdict was read, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, just circling all of these counts here. I will say that Michael Jackson came into the courtroom looking very grim, just looking straight ahead as he walked. He took his seat. As the verdicts were read, he showed no emotion. He sat there, still, not moving. Very much like what he's done throughout this trial. He had tissue. I could see him blotting his face, but no movement. When it was all over, he stood up. Tom Mesereau was there. They embraced each other. All of the defense attorneys shaking each other's hands. Obviously, this is a great day for Michael Jackson's defense team, particularly Tom Mesereau. Michael Jackson appeared to be a little more emotional towards the end, walking out of the courtroom, had some tears in his eyes. But again, I don't know if it's set in that he's a free man. When he leaves, he's left court already. He is a free man. The judge thanking the jury, telling the jury that he appreciates all of their efforts. I will tell you that after the verdicts were read, the jury was incredibly emotional. A couple of jurors breaking into tears because it's a huge relief for them. I mean, for months. It's gone on to 4 months, which is shorter than we thought it would be. We thought this trial would take about 5 months, but it's been 4 months now. Every single day, these jurors, they've given up their lives to come into this courtroom and sit there from 8:30 in the morning till 2:30 in the afternoon, hearing testimony after testimony, 140 witnesses in total, up to 700 pieces of evidence. And they've spent 7 days, over 32 hours, deliberating to reach this across-the-board acquittal for Michael Jackson. Michelle?
And Leslie, have you heard any word about whether or not Michael Jackson will be issuing any kind of a statement or talking to the media at some point today? We know he's now back in his car, and he probably is headed back to Neverland.
Right.
Is anything like that planned for later?
You know, Michelle, I was told before the verdict was read that Michael Jackson was preparing a statement of some sort that we thought he may deliver himself. But of course, Michael Jackson, being an international celebrity, I would think that it's a little bit risky for him to hang around the courtroom or hold a press conference of any sort. So I'm sure his attorneys will be speaking on his behalf and reading some sort of prepared statement in Michael Jackson's words, and that'll be happening probably in the next little while. We do know that the prosecution team and the defense team plan to hold news conferences, and the jurors will probably speak to the media as well. One thing that the judge did when he was thanking the jury was encourage them to speak to the media, to talk about the case. For all this time, for weeks now, 14 weeks, 4 months, they have been told that they cannot discuss this case with the people they live with anyone in the outside world. They can't discuss the case with each other until, of course, deliberations started. So now the jurors are free too, and I'm sure that it's a huge burden off of their shoulders as well. And as I said, a couple of the jurors very emotional, breaking down in tears in the courtroom. It's just a huge relief, I would think. And so we will likely be hearing from some of the jurors as well.